This week, the royal family were out in force to commemorate the 80th anniversary of VE Day, the day marking the end of the Second World War in Europe. Now, there were a whole number of engagements during the week, ending on the 8th of May with the service of thanksgiving at Westminster Abbey and a Horse Guards parade. A solemn occasion, but also an elegant and meaningful tribute. The commitment by the royal family to acknowledging this occasion was evident for all to see. And joining me now is the royal editor for the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers. Russell, you were at the VE Day commemorations. Tell us about it.
Yes, I was. Hi, Caro. I mean, what an absolute privilege and a pleasure, first and foremost, to be involved in these commemorations because, you know, they don't come along very often. And of course, with the diminishing number of World War II veterans and indeed that greatest generation, it was really one for the ages. And I thought that the royal family really didn't take the spotlight. I think it was very important for them to commemorate the veterans, to celebrate what happened on VE Day 80 years ago. And we had those commemorations all throughout the week. On the Monday, we saw a parade through London. We had an incredible balcony moment with the royal family, the red arrows flying over. We had historic and current military aircraft flying over London and indeed Buckingham Palace. And I was lucky enough to attend a tea party at the palace where we had dozens of veterans and their families speaking to members of the royal family, including the King, the Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales were there, Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Princess Royal. And for his biggest royal engagement yet, we had Prince George as well, who I thought handled himself remarkably well and, really asking pertinent questions of the veterans. He was speaking to one veteran in particular, Alfred Littlefield, who was 101 years old. He was talking to him about, what was it like sort of being there in amongst it on D-Day. And Alfred said to both him and Prince William at the end, it's very, very important that you're here because we need the next generation to understand what happened during the war. And indeed, there won't be very many of us left in future years. So I think, Prince George is going to be those images of him will certainly go down in history.
Indeed, it is very important. And also that has happened this week, we have a new Pope for the Roman Catholic Church. Now, the King has offered his congratulations to Leo XIV. We understand it was a private message, Russell. Do we know the sentiment of it?
Yes, indeed, Buckingham Palace did confirm that the King and Queen had sent a private message. And I think it was just congratulating him on the role. Of course, it's a huge, huge moment, not only for the Catholic Church, but indeed for Catholics all around the world. And, the King as head of the Church of England, I imagine, will want to meet Leo XIV because, two powerhouses coming together, a lot of history, as we saw in Italy when the King did get to meet Pope Francis. And again, that was a private meeting. Some of the schedule was pared down during that state visit due to the Pope, the late Pope's health. But I think, could we see another visit to the Vatican for the King and Queen on the horizon? I'm certainly sure that King Charles will want to have that as part of his legacy. So perhaps that will happen towards the end of the year or the turn of next year.
Now, not quite the Pope, but this week Sir David Attenborough has celebrated his 99th birthday as well as premiering his new film Ocean. Now, both the King and Prince William were on hand to acknowledge these milestones.
Well, indeed. I mean, we're talking about national treasures. I mean, David Attenborough is certainly one of those. I mean, at 99, he looks remarkably well, I thought. The King had attended last week a premiere of this new documentary, Ocean, and I saw him talking to Sir David Attenborough. These are two men who are absolutely titans of their field, and in terms of the environmentalist message that both of them have given over decades, it's certainly not to be dismissed. And Prince William has also seen the film. He saw it privately at a private screening, but he put a message out on Sir David's birthday, really paying tribute to his message all throughout these years and saying that this documentary especially has something that we should all recognise about the fragility of the planet, its connection to the nature, to the natural world and to the ocean. And if you haven't seen it yet, it is very, very well worth it.
In other news, the King and Queen, well, they'll be travelling to Canada later this month. The King will preside over the state opening, of Parliament. This hasn't happened for many years. What else can we expect?
Well, it hasn't, no. And I, just spoke about legacy there for King Charles. I think it's very, very important for him to do these sorts of things. And I had thought that this would happen because, of course, the new Prime Minister in Canada, a new government taking over. And you're right, this hasn't happened since 1977 when the late Queen attended the state opening of Parliament. Of course, the monarch is the monarch over Canada as well as Britain, one of the places they have jurisdiction. So I thought it was interesting that Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister, had invited the King. He has accepted. I think he'll be there for about 2 days at the end of the month. It won't be, take on the sort of guise of a royal tour. It will just be a very quick visit, I think. But I am told that there is plans for a bigger royal tour next year to coincide with a tour of the United States as well. So, King Charles and Queen Camilla are very, very busy over the next few months, that's for sure.
Indeed they are.